So Kathy Zettel-Schaefer, Executive Director, Oregon Computer Science Teachers Association. I'm current president. Andrew Scholler will be picking up the reins for me in the fall. But I would like the leaders, if you consider yourself a leader of Oregon Computer Science Teachers Association, stand up, please. John Ebergall, yes. John Ebergall, Mason Galbraith, Chris Winnica, we've got Jan out at the hosting the table and directing people, and then Pete belongs to Jan. They have the same last name. Pete here. And these events don't, as you know, takes a number of people to pull this off. But I have to say that I was very pleased to hear that we have spent a ton of money on this for you. Actually, not so much. We're able to do this, and it's even hard for me to even say because I'm shocked that our return on investment here, $750 to do this. And we had capacity for more people, but Jim Hook, facility, PSU. Thank you, Jim, for hosting and the facility. And Randy McDonald. Randy's up here also helping with the technology, and he's one of our implementation. So the implementation team, Randy, Pete, Jan, Kathy, they did a ton of work to do this. We are an organization. I'm going to go through this. Kathy said I get 10 minutes, and I have more slides than I have minutes. So I'm not sure how she's going to keep it going. So let's roll on this, Randy. We'll see what we can do. Oregon Computer Science Teachers Association, one of our leaders said we are not only moving the needle, but we are changing the face of the dial. So while it takes a village to do everything that Jim Hook dreams of doing, it's going to take a village, it's going to take a state, but the Oregon Computer Science Teachers Association will be in a position, as you'll see here, to do a lot of the work to make this happen. And so the state of, we talked about the problem. We admired the problem a little bit earlier today, but the reality is only 20% of the Oregon high schools have a computer science class. And that's just one coding class. And that's pathetic, folks. That means if you're doing the math, 80% don't. And that's a problem. That's a problem for our 600,000 students. Now I want to change that number, but I don't know exactly how many. If Jim has this dream about going nationwide, then we've got to put a few more zeros on that. But Oregon Computer Science Teachers Association is in position. John Ebergall is already in Alaska, where we have folks coming from Washington. We already have chances to influence our region as well as the nation. A few of us are going back to Baltimore or the National Computer Science Teachers Association, and we've been invited by Google and CSTA to tell the Oregon story. The National CSTA group says the Oregon CSTA is their, what do they say?
Gold standard.
The gold standard of chapters. So we haven't done that because we want to be a gold standard, because the problem is when you set yourself up as a gold standard, you become busy. But we do have a story. We have a story to tell, and we're going to go tell it to the nation here in a couple of weeks, because we have done something significant. Not only for the current few months here with the digital literacy grant, but over 30 years. So we have been in place for 30 years. The organization doesn't look near as old as I am, but you know, the organization has been around a while. We have spawned, but we'll get there. So anyway, let me tell you something about Jim Hook. I'm very impressed with him. He's at the top of the pyramid of computer science in Oregon, and his PowerPoint doesn't have this kind of color. I actually am one step ahead of Jim because I clicked that template button. So, but again, this is the message that we're giving, is that the culture, you know, it's our responsibility, and we're just going to call it our social responsibility to do the right thing for our students. We are part of the solution. We're not the only solution, but we are going to toot our horn today because you came, and we sponsored, and we provided croissants. All right. Here's our mission. I'm not going to read it to you, but we are teachers training teachers. 600,000 students is our mission. Our mission is to provide an opportunity for students. Again, we exist just because of students. We are a teachers training teacher organization, and we want to get the students on the career path for high demand, high pay and jobs and education. This is who we are. This is what we do. And I only have now 7 minutes left.
You can have 10.
Educate, empower, and to employ. This is what we do, what we can do, what we are doing. I think you'll see that, and many of you already know I'm preaching to the choir again because most of you know who we are and what we do. Go ahead. So, speaking of the resources that we've recently received in order to meet this mission, we are in the kind of the backside of the 14-month phase of the digital literacy grant for $750,000, and we're providing. And I'm going to have a concept here. We're building the plane as we are flying it, but we basically have had the structure in place over the 30 years that we've existed, and the grant from the state of Oregon has allowed us to do quite a bit more. But the structure was already there, and we're enhancing that. Good. So the grant allows us to provide our training services and programs called SuperQuest. And there's quite a bit of information out there on the tables in the foyer. We are providing the 3-day workshops in 8 regions in Oregon, reaching that rural. We're going to the rural Oregon. And most of our 30 years, we were here at Portland State in Western Oregon. We were at a single location in that populous area. I mean, that's just the way it had to have been when we didn't have the funding. This funding has allowed us to really reach and create a little more equitable efforts and reach because we're going into all regions of Oregon. Pop-ups are something that we do on the kind of a request basis, as well as our flagship SuperQuest workshops. So here are the dates, but OregonCSTA.org, we're going to move on because this is what we do and what we're going to be doing this summer. Go ahead. Randy's phone just buzzed, and then so that I just called him and said advance the slide. So we provide a lot of different curriculums, and this is probably not everything. This is just if you go down through here, there's a lot there. We don't provide this at every workshop, but we do provide these options for the regions to say, hey, look at this list. What do you want to do? And you know, it's like a candy shop, really. I mean, we will provide trainers, and the regions just says, hey, what would we like to do? Oh, underwater robots. We want AP, ECS, and CS principles. We want to do, we got a programming, a little bit of Python and Java would be cool. And so they get a dream, and we are the organization that provides the trainers. Good. We do other things as well, the SuperQuest, where you can see here, we're going to hear more from the OGPC, from Alan here in a bit. We have the programming contest that was held at George Fox University this last spring. We have some of our leaders that presented at the NCCE. This is called the CS in Oregon Symposium 2.0. What is help? All right, Jim, you're better than me. Help in June? Help. I'm just a teacher. All right, so next slide. We have to provide metrics and results to our grant, to the folks who are giving us money. And the state wants to know that we actually did what we said we were going to do, and we're actually hitting that out of the park. We're going beyond any of the requirements that we even set for ourselves and ODE set for us. And so this is what we're going to be presenting to the national. And interesting enough, I sent this form of this slides deck to the national. Am I okay? Am I still doing all right?
No, I don't want to make sure the numbers are right. Okay.
And so, and what they wanted, interesting enough, they weren't as interested in all the great things we're doing with a significant amount of money. They wanted to know what we did when we didn't have much funding.
It's true.
The challenge is we're going to tell this, we're going to do both, because we are going to say, you know what, we're teachers with a passion, we're educators with a passion, training educators that have a passion. But the trick is finding them, and that's an effort we're making. Good. So Jim had a statewide slide, I had to do the same. And so this shows that we are reaching Oregon, where the attendance is all over. I don't know what number 8 is down in Harney County. That's that frontier, right, Jim?
It is frontier, yes.
You know, but we are providing opportunities in Mount Airy County so that those folks can come up to Ontario and attend. Don Dome's going to be doing a Super Quest in Ontario in July. And so those are locations that we didn't even get the Dalles up there, which is the late half.
That was new. Yep, that was new.
Yeah, the late
That's
half
great.
of the 8th one, yeah, go ahead. So we have partners in various levels of participation. Some partners are all in and right beside us. Others are supporting us through communication and so forth. And this list is continuing to expand. One of the requirements for the grant was to create a computer science network around the state. So we have found champions and folks, educators with, and not always teachers or educators, but those people in those regions who want to be our eyes and ears and implementers in the region. And so we have that structure in place as well. So these happen to be one of the other things were PLCs. CLTs, PLCs, anyway, birds of feather type of connections where we, as part of the grant, we funded an idea where we could do virtual PLCs around the state. And so we, with the technology, we were able to connect teachers with these interests, and that was quite successful. And one of the things that happened out of this grant is we threw a lot of stuff on the wall, not literally, but figuratively, and a number of things stuck. Meaning that moving forward, the statewide virtual birds of a feather, or PLC, is really something that we're going to work on, because I, for example, am a full-time computer science teacher at Sherwood High School, but I'm it. Jason is lucky to have Katie, and so, and it's which is very cool about Sunset High School. We're going to hear more about that later, but when you think about a teacher who may only teach an HTML class, they're it, and if they're out of Eastern Oregon, there's, virtually they need to connect, and we're trying to do that, and we have been able to do that. Return on investment, we talk often about that, and we tell ODE and anyone else who cares to give us money. Excuse me for that, but money talks, money works. And while we have had 30 years of doing it on a shoestring, it still took funding to provide any workshops, because we are not going to ask our educators and teachers and trainers to do it for free. But we're very, we don't have a lot of overhead. And so the return on investment on what we do, very high. Good. The future, you can read this, we're hoping for additional funding to be able to keep this thing running. And next. Some conclusions that we have made, and so what I'm doing with this slide deck is actually accumulating some of the things that we can present to ODE, the conclusions that we make from the work that we've done. Go ahead. Opportunities. The ROI is high. 98 is very interesting. Measure 98, as you know, and I think, Eric, you might have mentioned it without saying the word measure 98. When you talked about graduation rate, freshman failure rate, absenteeism and the addressing. So the state is trying to figure out how much money to put in the initiative that was passed this last election. And The initiative said $800 per high school student, and where the legislature is in funding, it's not going to be $800. Well, I can't really say what they're going to do because I don't know what they're going to do. I'm not sure they do either, but what is it going to be? It will be something. And so, but as John will hear from Sunset High School, maybe he has a plan. He has a plan because he can expand his CTE programs. At Sherwood High School and others, they can expand the programs using monies from 98, but there are other legs of that stool as well. So forth and so on, but I want you to consider the last statement. 90% of parents believe, and this is a study, there's a link here, but it does exist, and I'm not just making it up. Although, if I made it up, it would still sound pretty good. 90% of parents believe that CS education is good use of resources, while 8% of administrators believe that parents want CS education for their kids. A disconnect, something that we need to work on. And so we are trying to influence administrators as well, to show them that this can happen. It's not rocket science. Eric has a great message on that it's not rocket science. It can happen. There are model programs out there that we can mentor teachers. Anyway, it's a longer story because I'm going to shut up. I said I was going to shut up, so. Yeah, go ahead. Connections. The ask at the end will be for you to influence who you can influence. Thank you. What am I supposed to do next?
Yeah.